Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this global conference, and we are really proud to have guests from all over the world who are joining us today in this conference. Our topic is how to lead a life of celebration, and this I'll be joined with Star Rajvin Singh from USA, New York, Star Harinder Singh from UK, Dr. Jagjit Singh from Canada, and Dimple Rayat from Canada. So we'll be talking on this particular aspect, and our focus in this program is that though we are proud of the legacy of our gurus, but what is it that we need to incorporate from their knowledge and use it in our daily life? So let's welcome our guests, and we'll start off with Sir Harinder Singh Ji. So let me first welcome all our guests, and then from there onwards we will continue with our discussion. Sir Harinder Singh Ji, Dimple Rayat, and Dr. Jagjit Singh Ji, Jianu, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeet.
So, Sardar Harinder Singh Ji, we would like to give you the opportunity to start, and I would just like to introduce you. Sardar Harinder Singh is an active 69-year young who has been a part of the Sikh diaspora in UK for a number of years. He's an author of 3 children's books, has co-authored a play on the partition of India for BBC Radio 4, and has taken part in various interfaith dialogues on the concept of oneness of humanity as enshrined in the Sikh scriptures. He has on many occasions worked with the St. Philip Center to speak about Sikh core values to school children, and he has been visiting Gurdwaras to tell what the Sikh core values are. He has also interacted in question and answers with police and armed forces personnel in Leicester. Currently, he is working on compiling a magnificent book named The Treasury of Guru Nanak, which is due for launch later this year. It's an honor to welcome Sardar Harinder Singh Ji. Harinder Singh Ji, for the next 12 minutes, please would like to know from your wisdom, what do you feel about the topic what we are talking about today?
Sat Sri Akal, thank you very much, and good fateh to one and all. Questions: how to lead a life of celebration, fullness and richness. Other Guru Teg Bahadur Sahib summed the state of being very beautifully in Surat Rag, wherein he describes what an ideal human being is like. Jo nar dukh mein dukh nahi mane. The being who is not disturbed by misfortune, who considers gold as dust, one who neither speaks ill of others, feels elated by praise, and shuns greed, attachments, and arrogance. Such a being deflects deceit and tragedy, and is not affected by honors or humility, announces expectations. Guru Teg Bahadur Sahib is talking Sanand, or true celebration, that pertains to the bliss of the soul, our primal energy. This Anand transcends pleasure, joy, and sorrow. Those colored by the beauty of this Anand have become as one with the Supreme and constantly feel, behold, and experience only the eternal presence in all beings. Guru Teg Bahadur Sahib showed us practically by willingly sacrificing his life in order to protect the human rights of another faith. This is unparalleled in the history of the world. But what about ordinary mortals like us? How do we achieve a life of celebration and richness? In fast-moving materialistic and superficial life, we equate celebration of life as being one big party with lots to eat, drink, and bhagda. The Gurus have given us the freedom to live life of a householder to the full. Sandhya, Penandya, Kedandya. But success in business or personal life or career gives only temporary pleasures. And we must not forget that to attain this gift of human life in order to attain a higher spiritual purpose. But by indulging in selfish, temporary pleasures, we are only deluding ourselves, not looking at the permanent celebration and happiness. In order to lead a life of celebration, we need to look at inner peace, which leads to tranquility and sahaj or equilibrium. But inner peace is that elusive treasure that everyone lives for, yet only a minuscule portion of our population can truly say that they have achieved some form of inner peace. Guru Teg Bahadur Sahib says, "Why on praise and slander? Who takes gold and iron as equal? That person is truly liberated." Again, he advises us to be a truly wise person. Do not instill fear in others, and neither have fear in one's head. Renounce possessiveness towards desires and temptations, and free ourselves from ego. In Sikh, the supreme inner peace is called Sahaj, or equilibrium. The person is so attuned to the divine vibration that neither sorrow or joy affects that person. He or she is that whatever is happening in the overall game plan of the divine, which in turn is determined by our own karmic deeds. What we sow, so shall we harvest. Guru Nanak says, Sukh Dukh is man ki birtha. Happiness and joy is a result of our own perceptions. Our mind is the most valuable tool, but is embroiled in pursuing endless desires and attachments that cause so much stress and sorrow. Say, mind, you are the embodiment of the divine light. Recognize your true worth. Faith promotes positivity, chardi kala, unleashes the feel-good endorphins in our brain that are so vital to compression. Not drugs, but faith. Acceptance is the most important ingredient required in sorrow or stress. And faith. Guru Teg Bahadur Sahib says, से जल में बुद्धदा उपजे दिन से नीत जग रचना तैसी रची कहो नानक सुन मीत. So our life and everything with it is like the bubbles in the water. It comes briefly and then departs. The negative ego in humans has created this false narrative of our own importance, and this ego leads to arguments and even wars. In reality, we are made up of millions of atoms, 99 of which are empty spaces. And if we remove the empty spaces, we can compress the whole human race into the size of a sugar cube. That's how insignificant we are. Teg Bahadur Ji says, Jani home tajita ram pechan. Freedom from ego is emancipation and unlocks the door to love, richness and fullness, which frees us from stress and worries. We fail to realize the precision with which our world is moving around the sun anti-clockwise at a speed of over 1400 kilometers an hour. And like clock, the rotation is completed in 365 days. Why is this happening? Certainly a divine force at work. Planets are revolving around the sun, but if a planet moves away from the orbit, then it is lost forever. Similarly, we Sikhs revolve around the Guru Granth Sahib, our guide, our sun, and if we deviate from the teachings of our Guru, then, like the planet, we too are lost, ever rotate in the cycle of birth and death. If we move out of the orbit of faith or dharma, we contravene these God's laws and suffer mentally and physically. Guru Teg Bahadur Sahib says, Janam Janam Parmat Firyo, Mityo no Jam ko tras. We wander through lifetimes carrying the burden, the fear of losing our possessions. But we obliterate the fact that we are only temporary travelers in this life, and that this gypsy has to move on. Guru Nanak's divinely revealed Mool Mantra or Root Mantra begins with the numeral 1. There is but one God, one formless creator, and truth is God's name. God is without fear, without enmity, self-existent, permeates every speck of creation, and will forever remain. These are the attributes of the divine. And because we all are from the same light, then we also have inherited some of these attributes. But unfortunately, these have been clouded over. Just like the sun is always present, but is often obliterated by cloud or fog. Similarly, the voices in our mind have hidden our divine attributes. The Sikh Gurus gave us many principles for righteous living, but the three golden rules were Kirat karo, Naam japo, Vanke chapo. As Guru Teg Bahadur Sahib says, the source of happiness is manifested in and out of you at all times. You are never separate from the divine as long as you chant, sing, contemplate the divine greatness. He again advises us to be complaining like the fish in water, who is constantly in sync with water. Kaho Nanak har tajmana, jai vid jal ko meen. In order to bring inner peace, we must create an atmosphere of mutual love and respect for all communities, because all humans come from the same light. The Sikh Gurus practice this concept by including the hymns of 26 Muslim, Sufi and Hindu saints in our scriptures, the Guru Granth Sahib. whom we revere as a living Guru. This again is unique in the history of mankind because seva in Sikhi is so important in uplifting the spirits of others less fortunate. And in doing so, we uplift our own spirits. How much joy there is in giving without selfish motives. It also helps in making us humbler. In order to create an atmosphere of love, tranquility, happiness, and richness of heart and soul, I would now like to look at three very important Sikh concepts of Naam and Shabad, as all three are linked. What is Hukam? It's a command, an instruction. By God's command, the universe was created. What are the instructions of God? To live as Hukam or divine law of the universe. This is ingrained in our conscience. It's our black box. It records everything, and I believe is downloaded into God's iCloud instantly. Naam is identity, and the most lovable brand being Ik Onkar Sat. Naam is divine wisdom. When this comes to reside within us, then the whole material things dies of meaningless. Entire creation is supported by Naam. I also call it the hotline to the divine. Shabad is the instrument, like a mobile phone used to dial up the divine. Divinely revealed hymns of the Guru Granth Sahib, when sung or listened to with intention and love, can transport one to another dimension, where for a short while perhaps we lose our ego and connect with the oneness. Finally, I would like to talk about algorithms that marketers use. Notice that whenever we look up a product online, we are then suddenly offered similar goodies or products that or that product may suddenly appear as if by magic on Facebook and other media platforms that we visit. We pause to think that if we sow the seeds to unlock divine alchemy, it can help us achieve a goal to lead a life of richness. The Supreme Force has given us this power to manifest what we desire. But unfortunately, we wither away our God-given potential by getting infected by viruses of calm, growth, low, mohan. In order to make this connection algorithm, we need to re-establish the broken connection with the divine through Naam. We need active life, but in total acceptance and Waheguru. Whatever happens to be is my own good. Ego is the good. But with every success and kudos, we need to remember, Je Dev, not teri vadiyai. This is making some inroads in control ego. Connection of Naam and one is rudderless and anchor to stabilize ourselves. Our gurus have given us antidotes to deal with our five demons. Thal which tin vastu pai, sat vichar. Amrit naam Thakur ka piya, jiska sab sadhara. So this body contains the antidote, but we need to do these in order to combat disease. Mind is the storehouse of our senses. And changing our conditioning, we can become multi-dimensional, one Preet says, because we have total awareness. Becoming aware, we can ensure that negative thoughts do not get manifested through our words and through our deeds. We will not be a victim, but be a witness to our thoughts. We can then filter them out through and thus allow that negative thought to pass and not our karma. This way, with another of one, we are able to lead a full life of grace and happiness. In other words, a state bliss or thank you.
Wonderful, great, right on time, Harinder Singh Ji. Thank you very much. There was some disruption in between. The line was not clear, but we have got your message loud and clear. Action speaks louder than words, and we need to be free of the viruses which you have talked, and especially taking all this in relation to our daily life. Thank you for this information. So I have a question for you which I need an answer. Where do you feel that the Sikhs are lacking today, and what is the solution you feel?
Well, it's a loss of what we are lacking, what needs to be done, but I will touch briefly on 6 only. As I feel that most of Sikhs are very superficial, ritualistic Sikhs. We dress up in our fineries every Sunday, go to Dara, and have a long list of materialistic desires that we want Guruji. Even in the Darbar Hall, I see a lot of people, including men and women, gossiping in some list of the Divine Bani. To understand what the verse, but in reality, it's a day
Harinder Singh Ji,
for
sorry to
family
interrupt you.
to enjoy.
The line is, sorry to interrupt you, Harinder Singh Ji, the line is absolutely not clear. I would request you that if you could log in again, because there seems to be some problem right now. We are not being able to understand. In the meantime, I would like to request my other guests to come and share their views, and then we'll ask the question to you, Harinder Singh Ji, later on. My next guest who would like to share his views today on this important topic is Dr. Jagjit Singh. Born in Jalandhar, Punjab, Dr. Jagjit Singh did his PhD in groundwater engineering from Punjab Agriculture University in Ludhiana, Punjab in 1981. He served as a professor in soil and water engineering for 5 years, and then he moved to industry in mathematical modeling and information technology and worked in India on various projects until 1999. Dr. Singh moved to Los Angeles in 1999 and worked on applied mathematics and algorithm writing. He moved to Vancouver, Canada in December 2018 and started writing about Sikhism. He has written papers and delivered many seminars about the environment, water conservation, human rights, social justice, education, scientific logic, nature, and Sikhism. It's a great honor to welcome Dr. Jagjit Singh Ji, and for the next 12 minutes, let's hear from him what he has to say on this topic. Dr. Jagjit Singh Ji.
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਸਰੋਤਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ
ਫਤਿਹ ਜੀ
ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਹਾਊ ਟੂ ਲੀਡ ਅ ਲਾਈਫ ਆਫ ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਫੁਲਨੈਸ ਐਂਡ ਰਿਚਨੈਸ ਤਿੰਨ ਵਰਡਸ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕੀਤੇ ਆ ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਫੁਲਨੈਸ ਤੇ ਰਿਚਨੈਸ ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਜੋ ਮੇਰੀ ਬੁੱਧੀ ਮੁਤਾਬਿਕ ਇਟ ਇਜ਼ ਅ ਪੋਜ਼ਿਟਿਵ ਕਿਸੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਮਾਣਨਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਜੋਏ ਕਰਨਾ ਤੇ ਉਸ ਦਾ ਮਹੱਤਤਾ ਮਨਾਣੀ ਇਹ ਇੱਕ ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਹੁਣ ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਕਾਹਦੀ ਕਰਨੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੰਪਲੀਟਨੈਸ ਦੀ ਕਰਨੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਰਿਚਨੈਸ ਦੀ ਰਿਚਨੈਸ ਅਮੀਰੀ ਤੇ ਫੁੱਲਨੈਸ ਕਿ ਸਾਡਾ ਜੋ ਕਾਰਜ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਕੰਪਲੀਟ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਕੰਪਲੀਟ ਹੋ ਹੁਣ ਰਿਚਨੈਸ ਤਾਂ ਬੜੀ ਸਿੱਧੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅਮੀਰੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਅਮੀਰੀ ਦੀ ਡੈਫੀਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹ ਸਿਰਫ ਮਟੀਰੀਅਲਿਸਟਿਕ ਵਰਡ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੀ ਹੋਈ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਹੋਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਜੋੜਦੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਬੱਚਾ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਉਦੋਂ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਉਹਦੀ ਬਰਥਡੇ ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਹਰ ਸਾਲ ਫਿਰ ਉਹਦੀ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਦੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਮਟੀਰੀਅਲਿਸਟਿਕ ਅਚੀਵਮੈਂਟਸ ਨਾਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਡਿਗਰੀ ਮਿਲ ਗਈ ਜੌਬ ਮਿਲ ਗਈ ਜਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਬੇਸਿਸ ਇਹੀ ਹੈ ਹੁਣ ਜਦੋਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਬੇਸਿਸ ਇਹੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਗੁਰੂ ਤੇਗ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਦਾ 400 ਸਾਲਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਣਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਬਾਣੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਹਮਦਾਰਾ ਸੰਪਤ ਸਗਲ ਜਿਨ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਰਮਾਨ ਇਨਮੇ ਕੁਛ ਸੰਗੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਾਚੀ ਜਾਨ ਇਹਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਜਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਤੂੰ ਵੈਲਥ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਜਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਤੂੰ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਤੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੈ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਇਹ ਤੇਰੇ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਕੋਈ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੇ ਤੂੰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਕੱਠੀਆਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰੇਟ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਵੈਲਥ ਨੂੰ ਪਰ ਦੇ ਆਰ ਆਲ ਯੂਜ਼ਲੈਸ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਮੁਤਾਬਿਕ ਜਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਰਿਚ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਬਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਇਹ ਸੋਚੀਏ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਣੇ ਸਾਰੀ ਹਿਊਮੈਨਿਟੀ ਇਹ ਬਾਣੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀ ਹਿਊਮੈਨਿਟੀ ਲਈ ਹੈ ਇਕੱਲੀ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਲਈ ਮੈਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਕਰਦਾ ਦੂਜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਅਚੀਵ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਡੀ ਇੱਕ ਐਕਸਪੈਕਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਲੱਗੀ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਰ ਵੇਲੇ ਸੁਸਾਇਟੀ ਤੋਂ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਤੋਂ ਹਰ ਪਾਸਿਓਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਐਕਸਪੈਕਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਬਣਾ ਕੇ ਚਾਹਤ ਸਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਇੱਕ ਚਾਹਤ ਜਿਹੀ ਚਾਹਤ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਤੇਗ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਜੀ ਕੋ ਪੁੱਛੀਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਨਾ ਚਾਹਤ ਕੁਝ ਔਰ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਬਈ ਇਹਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਚਾਹਤ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਐਕਸਪੈਕਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਹਰ ਵੇਲੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੀ ਚਾਹਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਚਾਹਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਮਟੀਰੀਅਲਿਸਟਿਕ ਚਾਹਤ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਰਿਚਨੈਸ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਸੋ ਉਹ ਕੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਅਸੀਂ ਟਰਾਈ ਕਿਉਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਇਹ ਰਿਚਨੈਸ ਲਿਆਉਣ ਦੀ? ਅਸੀਂ ਰਿਚਨੈਸ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਲਿਆਉਣ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੁੱਖ ਆ ਜਾਏ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕੰਫਰਟ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਏ। ਹੁਣ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤੋਂ ਕੰਫਰਟ ਮਿਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ? ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਮਟੀਰੀਅਲਿਸਟਿਕ ਕੰਫਰਟ ਹੈ, ਮੈਂਟਲ ਕੰਫਰਟ ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੱਭਦੇ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ। ਮਟੀਰੀਅਲਿਸਟਿਕ ਕੰਫਰਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਘੁੰਮਣਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਯਤਨ ਬਹੁਤ ਸੁੱਖ ਕੇ ਕੀਏ, ਦੁੱਖ ਕੋ ਕਿਉਂ ਨਾ ਕੋਏ। ਇਹਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੁੱਖ ਦੇ ਹੀ ਯਤਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਹਰ ਬੰਦਾ ਟਰਾਈ ਕਰਦਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਅਮੀਰੀ ਨਾਲ ਸੁੱਖ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਤੇ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਗੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੈਂ ਰਵਾਂ ਤੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਮੈਕਸੀਮਮ ਸੁੱਖ ਮਿਲ ਸਕਣ। ਪਰ ਕੀ ਸੁੱਖ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਮਟੀਰੀਅਲਿਸਟਿਕ ਹੈ, ਜਾਂ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਫੁੱਲਨੈਸ ਵੱਲ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ? ਇਹ ਇੱਕ ਬੜਾ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਰੇਜ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ। ਉਹ ਸੁੱਖ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਸੋ ਸੁੱਖ ਮੋਕੋ ਤ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਨਾ ਬੂਝੇ ਮਨ ਤ੍ਰਿਪਤਾਓ, ਇਹਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਗੁਰੂ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦੇ ਮੁਤਾਬਿਕ ਸੁੱਖ ਉਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਹੈ ਜਿਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਮੇਰੀ ਤ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਨਾ ਅੰਦਰ ਬੁਝੇਗੀ ਤੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਮਨ ਕੰਟੈਂਟਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਏਗਾ, ਨਾ ਕਿ ਮਟੀਰੀਅਲਿਸਟਿਕ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੀ। ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਇੱਕ ਕਾਰ ਹੈ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਦੋ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਵੱਡਾ ਘਰ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਐਂਡ ਸਲੋਲੀ ਆਈ ਮੂਵ ਟੂਵਰਡਸ ਦੀ ਐਂਡ ਆਫ ਦੀ ਲਾਈਫ। ਹੁਣ ਇਸ ਤ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਨਾ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਕੀ ਨਿਕਲਦਾ? ਤ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਨਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਹਰਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਕੁਝ ਫੀਅਰ ਵੀ ਨਿਕਲਦਾ, ਕਿ ਫੀਅਰ ਇੱਕ ਅੰਦਰ ਫੀਅਰ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ। ਉਹ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬਣਨਾ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਫੀਅਰ ਫੈਕਟਰ ਨੂੰ ਖਤਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਸੀ, ਕਿ ਫੀਅਰ ਆਫ ਨਾਟ ਅਚੀਵਿੰਗ ਐਂਡ ਫੀਅਰ ਆਫ ਲੂਜ਼ਿੰਗ, ਇਹ ਦੋਨੋਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ। ਸੋ ਮੈਂਟਲੀ ਉਹ ਫਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਇਆ, ਫੁੱਲਨੈਸ ਵੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਗਿਆ। ਸੋ ਮੈਂਟਲੀ ਉਹ ਸਗੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਲੇਵ ਬਣਦਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਮਟੀਰੀਅਲਿਸਟਿਕ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦਾ। ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂਟਲ ਸਲੇਵ ਬਣੇਗਾ ਤੇ ਫਰੀਡਮ ਉਹਦੀ ਖਤਮ ਹੋ ਜਾਏਗੀ। ਗੁਰੂ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਫਰੀਡਮ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਮਾਈਂਡ ਤੇਰਾ ਫਰੀ ਹੋਵੇ, ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਤੂੰ ਹਰ ਚੀਜ਼ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਪਾਸੇ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਫਰੀਡਮ ਆਫ ਫੇਥ ਹੋਵੇ, ਹਿਊਮਨ ਰਾਈਟਸ ਹੋਣ, ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ, ਜਿੰਨਾ ਚਿਰ ਮਾਈਂਡ ਫਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਨਾ ਚਿਰ ਤੱਕ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਉਹ ਫੁੱਲਨੈਸ ਆ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦੀ। ਸੋ ਫਰੀਡਮ ਦਾ ਹੋਣਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਫਰੀਡਮ ਨੂੰ ਰੋਕ ਕੌਣ ਰਿਹਾ? ਉਹ ਫੀਅਰ ਫੈਕਟਰ ਰੋਕ ਰਿਹਾ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੈਲਥ ਦੀ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਸ਼ਨ ਨਾਲ ਤੇ ਕਾਮ ਕ੍ਰੋਧ ਲੋਭ ਮੋਹ ਦੀ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਸ਼ਨ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਸਪਾਈਡਰ ਵੈਬ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹ ਬਣਾ ਲਿਆ। ਉਹਦਾ ਬੇਸਿਕ ਰੀਜ਼ਨ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਸੋਚਦਾ ਕਿ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਦੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਵੈਲੂਏਸ਼ਨ ਮੈਥਡ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਬਦਲ ਗਏ। ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇਵੈਲੂਏਸ਼ਨ ਮੈਥਡ ਗੁਣਾਂ ਤੇ ਖੜੇ ਹੋਣੇ ਚਾਹੀਦੇ ਸੀ, ਉਹ ਮਟੀਰੀਅਲਿਸਟਿਕ ਵਰਡ ਤੇ ਆ ਗਏ। ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਚਪਨ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ ਉਸ ਮਟੀਰੀਅਲਿਸਟਿਕ ਵਰਡ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਗੁਣਾਂ ਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਛੱਡ ਕੇ ਸਿਰਫ ਆਪਣੀ ਇਵੈਲੂਏਸ਼ਨ ਮਟੀਰੀਅਲਿਸਟਿਕ ਵਰਡ ਤੇ ਲੈ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਰਿਚਨੈਸ ਨੂੰ ਉਸ ਪਾਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰੇਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਤੇ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਵੈਲੂਏਸ਼ਨ ਮੈਥਡ ਹੈ ਸਾਡਾ ਆਪਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਣ ਗਿਆ, ਉਹ ਗੁਣਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਛੱਡ ਕੇ ਦੂਜੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਚਲਾ ਗਿਆ। ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਭਾਈ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਸਤ ਸੰਤੋਖ ਵਿਚਾਰੋ। ਜਦੋਂ ਸਤ ਤੇ ਸੰਤੋਖ ਨੂੰ ਵਿਚਾਰੋਗੇ, ਸੰਤੋਖ ਗੁਣ ਲਿਆਏਗਾ। ਉਹ ਗੁਣ ਜਦੋਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਚ ਮਿਸਿੰਗ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਗੇ, ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਫੁੱਲਨੈਸ ਹੈ, ਐਜ਼ ਪਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਫੁੱਲਨੈਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਏਗੀ। ਮਟੀਰੀਅਲਿਸਟਿਕ ਵਰਲਡ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਾਂ ਫੁੱਲਨੈਸ ਆ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦੀ ਕਦੀ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੋਂ ਉੱਪਰ ਹੋਏਗਾ, ਜਾਂ ਲੀਵ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੋਏਗਾ, ਜਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਹੋ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਡਰ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਮੈਂ ਸੈਕਿੰਡ ਨਾ ਹੋ ਜਾਵਾਂ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫੁੱਲਨੈਸ ਕਦੀ ਲਿਆ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦੇ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਬੇਸ ਬਣਾਓਗੇ ਮਟੀਰੀਅਲਿਸਟਿਕ। ਪਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੁਣਾਂ ਦੇ ਬੇਸ ਤੇ ਲਿਆਓਗੇ, ਉਹ ਫੁੱਲਨੈਸ ਆ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ। ਉਹ ਫੁੱਲਨੈਸ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਸੈਟਿਸਫੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਆ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ। ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਿਸੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੀ ਵੀ ਅੰਦਰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਭਾਵਨਾ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ, ਜੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੂੰ ਗੱਦੀ, ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਜੇ ਲੜਾਈ ਵੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਵੀ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ। ਜੋ ਵੀ ਹੈ ਹੁਕਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹਿ ਕੇ, ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਭਾਈ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਹੁਕਮ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ। ਹੁਕਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਚਿਆਰਾ ਬਣਨਾ ਤਾਂ ਹੁਕਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ। ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੁਕਮ ਮੰਨ ਲਈਏ ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਫੁੱਲਨੈਸ ਅਚੀਵ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਮਟੀਰੀਅਲਿਸਟਿਕ ਵਰਲਡ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਫੁੱਲਨੈਸ ਕਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਅਚੀਵ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ, ਨਾ ਰਿਚਨੈਸ ਤਾਂ ਲਿਮਿਟ ਹੀ ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਸਦੀ। ਪਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਗੁਣਾਂ ਦੀ ਰਿਚਨੈਸ ਆ ਜਾਏਗੀ ਆਪਸ ਵਿੱਚ, ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਸਾਡੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਕੰਪਲੀਟਨੈਸ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰੇਟ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ। ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਹਰ ਵੇਲੇ ਧਿਆਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਫੀਅਰ, ਫਰੀडम, ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੱਢ ਕੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ, ਤੇ ਦੈਟ ਇਜ਼ ਦੀ ਵੇ ਵੀ ਸ਼ੁੱਡ ਬੀ ਲੀਡਿੰਗ ਦੀ ਲਾਈਫ। ਜੋ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਦੀ ਆ ਉਹਦੇ ਮੁਤਾਬਿਕ ਸਾਨੂੰ, ਜੋ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਗੁਣ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਖਾਇਓ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਮਕਾਰਤ ਨਹੀਂ, ਤੇ ਇਹਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਗੁਣ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਬੇਸਿਕਲੀ ਗੁਣਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਵਸਾਣਾ, ਤੇ ਵਸਾ ਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਦੂਜਿਆਂ ਪ੍ਰਤੀ ਭਾਵਨਾ, ਇਕੁਐਲਿਟੀ ਦੀ ਭਾਵਨਾ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਰ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕੋ ਜਿਹਾ ਸਮਝਣਾ, ਇਕੁਐਲਿਟੀ ਬਾਏ ਬਰਥ ਸਮਝਣਾ। ਗੁਰੂ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਸ਼ਹਾਦਤ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹ ਕਿਸੇ ਪਰਟੀਕੂਲਰ ਰਿਲੀਜਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੇ ਰਹੇ, ਉਹ ਹਿਊਮਨ ਰਾਈਟ, ਫਰੀडम ਆਫ ਫੇਥ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਦੇ ਰਹੇ, ਇਕੁਐਲਿਟੀ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜੇ ਇੱਕ ਬੰਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਇਕੁਐਲਿਟੀ ਦਾ ਰਾਈਟ ਹੈ, ਦੂਜੇ ਕੋਲ ਵੀ ਹੈ। ਇਕੁਐਲਿਟੀ ਬਾਏ ਬਰਥ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਨਸੈਪਟ ਹੈ, ਗੁਰੂ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਅੱਗੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਰੱਖ ਕੇ ਤੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ। ਕਾਮ, ਕ੍ਰੋਧ, ਲੋਭ, ਮੋਹ, ਹੰਕਾਰ ਤੇ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬੇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਰਿਚਨੈਸ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹੋ, ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਚਾਹੀਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ, ਚਾਹੀਦੇ ਆ, ਬਟ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਿੰਨੀ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰਨੀ, ਆਪਟੀਮਮ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਰਵੋ, ਪਰ ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਅਟੈਚ ਨਾ ਹੋ, ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਖੱਚਤ ਨਾ ਹੋ ਜਾਓ। ਜੋ ਮਿਲਿਆ, ਜੋ ਹੈਗਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ, ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਫੁੱਲਨੈਸ ਲਿਆਈਏ, ਅੰਦਰ ਉਹਦੀ ਸੈਟਿਸਫੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਲਿਆਈਏ। ਜੇ ਸੈਟਿਸਫੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਲੈ ਆਵਾਂਗੇ ਤੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਫੁੱਲਨੈਸ ਆਏਗੀ, ਔਰ ਉਸ ਫੁੱਲਨੈਸ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰੇਟ ਕਰਨਾ। ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅਚੀਵਮੈਂਟ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੁਣਾਂ ਦੀ ਅਚੀਵਮੈਂਟ ਹੈ, ਗੁਣਾਂ ਦਾ ਵਾਸਲਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਹੈ, ਸਤ ਸੰਤੋਖ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵਾਸਲਾ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰੇਟ ਕਰਨਾ, ਔਰ ਉਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਲਾਈਫ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੀ ਨੂੰ ਜੀਣਾ। ਔਰ ਐਸੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ, ਗੁਣਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਾਸਲੇ ਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਇਹੀ ਫੁੱਲਨੈਸ ਹੈ, ਔਰ ਐਸੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰੇਟ। ਔਰ ਅਮੀਰੀ ਵੀ ਐਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ। ਅਮੀਰੀ ਪੈਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਹਾ, ਅਮੀਰੀ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਡੈਫੀਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਹਾ। ਅਮੀਰੀ ਉਹ ਹੈ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੁਣਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਾਂਝ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਏ, ਗੁਣਾਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਏ, ਤੇ ਗੁਣ ਉਹਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ। ਹਾਂ, ਸੋ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਆਫ ਫੁੱਲਨੈਸ ਦਾ ਕਨਸੈਪਟ ਗੁਰੂ ਤੇਗ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਜੀ ਦਾ, ਉਹ ਬੇਸਿਕਲੀ ਗੁਣਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਖੜਾ, ਔਰ ਗੁਣਾਂ ਦੇ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਮੀਰੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ, ਗੁਣਾਂ ਦੀ ਅਮੀਰੀ ਤੇ ਕੰਪਲੀਟ ਲਾਈਫ ਉਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਿਤਾਣੀ ਹੈ। ਮੈਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਸ਼ਬਦਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਸੰਕੋਚ ਕਰਦਾ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
I think Harinder Singh Ji and Dr. Jagjit Singh, you are probably keeping stopwatches, and I don't have to tell you that stop now. Thank you very much for this insightful and profound knowledge what you have shared with us. My question to you, Dr. Jagjit Singh, would be that what do you feel we as Sikhs are lacking, where we need to work, and what is the solution you would like to offer?
ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮੈਂ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਕਰਦਾ ਕਿ ਸਿੱਖ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਲਕਿ ਸਾਰੀ ਹਿਊਮੈਨਿਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ, ਮੈਂ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਟਾਕ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਇਕੁਐਲਿਟੀ ਆਫ ਬਰਥ ਨੂੰ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਕਰਨਾ, ਸਟੇਟ ਆਫ ਮਾਈਂਡ ਬਣਾਉਣੀ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਸਟੇਟ ਆਫ ਮਾਈਂਡ ਦੀ ਹੈ, ਨਾ ਕਿ ਫਿਜ਼ੀਕਲ ਹੈ। ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਰ ਇੰਡੀਵਿਜੂਅਲ ਹਿਊਮਨ ਬੀਇੰਗ ਨੂੰ ਇਕੁਅਲ ਸਟੇਟਸ ਆਪਣੇ ਦਿਮਾਗ ਵਿੱਚ, ਆਪਣੇ ਸਟੇਟ ਆਫ ਮਾਈਂਡ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੇ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਥਾਂ ਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਵਿਤਕਰਾ ਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ। ਦੂਜਾ, ਕੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਇਵੈਲੂਏਟ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਗੁਣਾਂ ਤੇ, ਕਿ ਉਹਦੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਦੀ ਸਮਰੱਥਾ ਜਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਫਿਜ਼ੀਕਲ ਵੈਲਿਊ, ਕੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਈਗੋ, ਜੋ ਵੀ ਹੋਰ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਮੈਥਡਸ ਆਫ, ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹੀਏ ਜੀ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਅਮੀਰ ਬੰਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ, ਬਟ ਉਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੀ ਰਿਗਾਰਡ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਦੈਟ ਨਾਟ ਦੀ ਆਸਪੈਕਟ। ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਦੇਖਣਾ ਪਏਗਾ ਕਿ ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਗੁਣ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਆ, ਔਰ ਉਹ ਗੁਣ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਰਟੀਕੁਲਰਲੀ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਗੁਣ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਲਿਸਟ ਔਰ ਹਰ ਚੀਜ਼ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਤੋਂ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਹੈ, ਕੀ ਉਹ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਤੋਂ ਸੇਧ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਗੁਣਾਂ ਦੀ ਵਾਸਲਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ, ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ। ਔਰ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਇੰਟਰੋਸਪੈਕਟ ਆਪ ਖੁਦ ਕਰਨਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਖੁਦ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ, ਅਗਲੇ ਨੂੰ ਬਾਅਦ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਹਿਣਾ। ਸੋ ਦੈਟ ਇਜ਼ ਦੀ ਵੇ ਆਈ ਫੀਲ। ਪਹਿਲੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਅੰਦਰ, ਫਿਰ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ, ਫਿਰ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ।
बहुत ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਜੀ ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਿਹਰਬਾਨੀ ਐਂਡ ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਅਗਲੇ ਸਪੀਕਰ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਟਰੋਡਿਊਸ ਕਰਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਸਰਦਾਰ ਹਰਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਆਈ ਥਿੰਕ ਹੁਣ ਇੰਟਰਨੈਟ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਠੀਕ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਸੋ ਹਰਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ what would be your answer to this question what I asked you before about where are we lacking and what solutions would you like to offer in the next 3 minutes would like to answer on that.
Sure. Well, it's a long list of what we are lacking and what needs to be done. Briefly on the basics only. These days, I feel that most Sikhs have become very superficial, ritualistic Sikhs. We dress up in our fineries every Sunday, go to the Gurdwara, Matha Teko, and have a long list of materialistic desires that we want Guruji to fulfill. Even Darbar Hall, I noticed a lot, including older men and women, are gone instead of listening to the divine Bani to try and understand what the saying to us. But in reality, it's enough for the family to enjoy Guru Balangar. Nothing wrong with it. But we don't humbly matha teko to thank Vaiguruji for all that he has provided us and ask for strength to walk the path of Gurma. The beautiful greeting of Sat Sri Akal has been corrupted. Sri Akal. Sat Sri Akal is such a beautiful meaning. In Guru Nanak's time, it was Sat Kartar, which has the same meaning. In saying this, we are reminding ourselves and others to please speak the truth, because truth is God. But in Sri Akal, do we even stop to think what Akal means? Sas means mother-in-law. Akal means we are not wishing death on our mother-in-law. I'm sure not. Unfortunately, thinkingly, over 90% of Sikhs and even people in high positions, some and even some anchors say Sat Sri Akal. So we Sikhs need to get to the basics of being humble learners, because the Sikhs a lifelong learner. There is no about our prayers without contemplation and understanding. We need to do tu pravdata dan mat pe hum thaye vikhari jiyo मैं क्या मांगू किछ स्थिर न रहे हर दीजे नाम हरे जियो. Sincere ardas will steer us towards amul gun such as compassion, benevolence, contentment, integrity, and courage.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, sir. So, when we have think tanks like you, time should not be a constraint, but unfortunately, we have to be confined to the time constraints also. But nevertheless, thank you, Dr. Jagjit Singh and Harinder Singh Ji, for this wonderful information and practical tips, what you're talking. My next guest is Dimple Rayat. Dimple Rayat is a certified rapid transformational therapist, mental health and spiritual coach. Dimple believes well-being is our birthright, not a privilege. Therefore, make wellness go viral to live your best life. Lead the best version of yourself by taking your power back of cultural, societal, and biological conditioning by tapping back to the source of the root cause of your issue. Dimple Rayat thrives on transforming your well-being through the power of tuning into your own story, your story of illness to wellness, challenges to triumph, defeat to victory, pain to healing, anxiety, depression, PTSD to calm and peace. It's an honor to have Dimple Rayat with us. Dimple ji, for the next 12 minutes, please share your views on our topic today.
Thank you, Harpreet. It's an honor to be here among such beings as well. And adding on to what our guests have shared is that in order to lead life of celebration, fullness, and richness, it's very important for us to accept who we are. And not only that, it's the having a mindset of abundance. And in order to have the mindset of abundance, it's very, very important that we understand that what abundance means to us. For example, nature is a great example. It shows us that it gives abundantly, it gives unconditionally, and irrespective of what happens, all the seasons of life and time, regardless, it holds its own essence, and it gives what it knows, irrespective of what comes its way. So similarly, it's adopting and creating and cultivating the mindset of abundance. Because with abundance, it thrives on growth in every aspect of our life, whether it's our personal, professional, personal, financial, spiritual, social, every aspect of our life itself. When there's growth, the growth itself requires creativity. And we as individuals, we are creative beings. Creative beings in a sense that we have creativity in our how we show up towards problems. We have creativity of creating from nothing to so much. So there's that newness that comes in creativity that allows us to celebrate that newness within us. It's like when we're celebrating every single moment in time. And when we feel that in tune, that connection within our own selves, only then we can feel the fulfillment. Fulfillment comes from what? From the flow of life, the flow where we're able to experience ourselves, where we're able to explore our creativity, and we're able to exercise that with our relationships. So when that flow of creativity happens, there's something that grows within us. And when that something grows, it could be an idea, it could be a new relationship. So when we're planting those seeds of newness on the base of creativity, that flow that happens, it actually takes all the challenges and helps us triumph over anything that comes our way. So with that, it helps us to accept ourselves. It helps us to accept what comes our way. And it helps us to accept our relationships for what they are and as they are. So we are able to give our best in that. And that helps, and that only helps us to exercise when we cultivate the mindset of abundance. So therefore, in order to even cultivate that abundance, it helps us to be in touch with our authentic self and be honest with our own selves, that where and who and what where we're leading our life. Because when we are not in touch with that authentic self of our being, and we're not honest to ourselves, then we lose that very essence part of ourself that helps us to create and to help us move forward in life. And it's important also because when we stop doing the things that we enjoy doing the most, that we love doing the most, then we also lose that touch with our creativity. And again, creativity helps us to be in touch with our most essential virtues in which we exercise and we share ourselves with others in our relationships. And when we share ourselves with our relationships, that is where we experience the fullness and the richness. Not like Dr. Ji said, the richness isn't all about money. It's not how much we have in our bank account, but it's how much we have within ourselves and how rich do we feel without what's in our bank account. And the only way we can cultivate that richness is when we share ourselves with others, meaning giving is receiving. So giving the best of ourselves, and what we receive, the emotions, the gratefulness in return, the love that we receive in return is the love that we start to cultivate within ourselves. And that is the foundation. Now, when we're coming from a place of love versus a place of fear, there's a subtle sense of inner peace within us. And that inner peace within us gives us the sense of calm. So irrespective, no matter what happens, we can be in the moment. We can be in the present and celebrate just life as it happens. Because we don't need to create something to celebrate. us being here, our very presence here, the fact that we have this gift of life is a celebration in itself. But we forget and we get disconnected from that part, and we are so convoluted in doing this versus just experiencing our own beingness. And in our beingness is where the flow happens of life, where the creativity happens of life, where we are creating and building relationships. So when we can be in touch with that part of ourselves, that's where we can exercise the most essential virtue of being gentle and generous. Because when this is what our gurus taught, gurus have lived by. This is what they embrace. They embrace the service to others. But they've only been able to do that because of their generosity and their gentleness of no matter who comes at their path, irrespective of religion, creed, color, caste. It was all given as oneness. Everything was shared of their own self as oneness. So it wasn't something that was happening outside of them. It was something that was happening inside of them first. So similarly, the more and more we connect with our own selves, we go inward and cultivate that seed of love, seed of peace. That is where we can exercise the gentleness, generosity, which brings us back to humility. And from that place of humility, we're able to service others, first ourselves, and then others. And the reason why I say that is because we cannot share with others, we cannot give others what we do not have for our own selves. So if we want to cultivate the mindset of abundance, we must realize that how do we feel about our own selves? What are some of the things that takes me away from my own self? And what are the things that brings me back to myself? What are the things on a day-to-day basis that I enjoy doing that brings me back to my creativity, that childlike within? Because from that place, I am in place of love. I'm in place of peace. I'm in place of happiness that I automatically give to others. It's like the sun gives what it knows. It doesn't, it irrespective. So similarly, we as individuals, when we build relationships, we creating the case of our own relationships in any aspect, in any area of our life. But it begins from us. Because in every single flower that we accumulate in our bouquet has the essence and has the fragrance of our beingness.
Wonderful, Dimple Ji. Thank you very much. And my question to you is the same as to what do you feel we as Sikhs are lacking, and what are the solutions you feel we need to start implementing?
I believe that it's wholesome and complete in itself. However, as individuals, we must exercise, we must practice, and realize that before religion, before culture, before creed or color, we are human beings. And as human beings, the more we remain in this vast consciousness or in this awareness, we're easily able to bridge these gaps of separation and become from a place of love and unity, and exercise more of our beingness versus the doers.
Wonderful, great. It's been a pleasure to be our moderator for this segment, and our next guest is Dr. Rajvin Singh from New York, and I'll be getting him. So, Dr. Jagjit Singh Ji, Dr. Sir Harinder Singh Ji, and Dimple Rayat, thank you very much for giving your perspective. And I think I'll have to get you individually back in my program and discuss in details, because these are issues which need to be contemplated, because action speaks louder than words, and that is what we always emphasize. We have all the qualities today, and from our gurus, that knowledge what we can get is tremendous. And now the world is a global village, as we are seeing. So there is no dearth of information, but where we are lacking is that we need to start implementing it in ourselves and be the change that we want to see the change in the world. So once again, thank you very much, and let's now get Dr. Rajvin Singh and listen to him. So Dr. Rajvin Singh will be our next guest, and we'll learn from him as to what he he has to say. So our next guest is Dr. Rajvin Singh. Dr. Rajvin Singh is the founder and president of EcoSikh, a global Sikh environmental movement. EcoSikh has recently launched the plantation of 1 million trees in honor of Guru Nanak worldwide, and it has planted over 306 forests in Punjab and other parts of India. It has also been leading the campaign of Sikh Environment Day since 2010. Internationally, Dr. Singh has represented the Sikh perspective in numerous environmental international forums and has been invited to the Vatican and Buckingham Palace. He initiated the first ever White House celebration of the birth anniversary of Guru Nanak, the founder of Sikhism. Dr. Singh is also the chairman of the Sikh Council on Religion and Education, an organization that speaks on issues related to Sikhs. He co-founded the National Sikh Campaign and also helped make the first ever English documentary on Guru Nanak. Dr. Singh currently resides in the Washington, D.C. metro area, and he's a dental surgeon and has 4 clinics. Let's welcome Dr. Rajvin Singh and listen to his perspective as to what he has to say on this particular topic. Dr. Singh, welcome to the program. Ji, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Fateh Ji. Thank you so much, Ji, for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts on Guru Teg Bahadur Ji, this very important anniversary that comes in our lifetime. Guru Teg Bahadur Ji has been my hero since I was only 15 or 16, when it was 1975, the 300th Shahidi, or the martyrdom of Guru Teg Bahadur Ji, was celebrated. Since then, his life has always fascinated me because of such wonderful and very powerful messages that it conveys. One of the most important things, which is not very well known to people, is that Guru Teg Bahadur Ji was a statesman. He was a leader of a community, not just the Sikh community, but the entire South Asian communities, during a very, very challenging and a difficult time in the South Asian history and the world history, when you have a tyrant emperor who was controlling much of India, and the atmosphere was full of tyranny and religious suppression, injustice, and there was a lot of polarization, and a lot of people could not dare to speak against the political forces or the religious establishment. So Guru Teg Bahadur Ji, during this very difficult time, when he is leading a community, he also faced a lot of opposition from within the sort of the circles in which he frequented or he existed. As we know, when he was in Baba Bakala, there were other people who were challenging his authority and claiming themselves to be the gurus. So how did he navigate the Sikh community and really established I would say, the foundation of a democratic setup in the South Asian region? If there was no Guru Teg Bahadur Ji, you would have found a democracy surviving in the South Asian region, particularly in India. So that's one thing which needs to be recognized. We very much focus on his sacrifice, which is there is no example of his sacrifice anywhere in the world. But other than that, there are many facets and aspects of Guruji's life which is still unknown. So I have broken down sort of 9 different points by which we can see the 9 leadership qualities that Guru Teg Bahadur Ji and his life brings to us. One of them is that right from the very beginning, he empowered his own wife, Mata Gujri Ji. Just imagine, Mata Gujri Ji was raising his son single-handedly while Guruji was so busy traveling, and there was so much demand because Aurangzeb's rule was tyrannical. It created a lot of terror, and the communities needed the support, communities needed a leader and somebody to give them direction how to survive in these very difficult times. So Guruji, right after he became Guru, he started traveling. In fact, he was traveling even before that. There are now historical documents which have surfaced, which shows him traveling as a representative of the Guru, the Guru Kar, and he had actually come to visit and meet Guru Harkishan Ji in New Delhi before he went back to Baba Bakala. So that's a different topic that we will handle it later on. But one of the things is Mata Gujri Ji was being supported by Guru Teg Bahadur Ji from distance, how to raise this child who he had not seen for his early years. And Mata Gujri Ji was raising Gobind Rai with all his instructions, and it's very clearly from the communications that he sent that what kind of child that he wanted Mata Gujri Ji to raise. So that's one aspect. And then we see that Mataji is so powerful that she accepts that when he decides to leave for Delhi to sacrifice his life, and then she accepts his head, a severed head, which was brought by Jetaji. So that's one thing. So he empowered women. And second gesture that he made to honor women in his life was when he bought the land which would become the future Anandpur Sahib. He named this city under his mom, Chak Nanki. So that just shows that he could have chosen Guru Har Gobind Ji, he could have chosen any other guru prior to him, or he could have chosen Guru Nanak Dev Ji, but he chose Bebe Mata Nanki. So it was called Chak Nanki. So there was no other city by any guru up to then that was named after a woman. So that's something which we don't know, and that is something which we need to continue to revive and tell people that how Guru Teg Bahadur Ji honored his own mother by naming the city. So he was a city builder. So that's the third one, that he envisioned a city which would have everything, which would help a city to host and have a full community of a diverse community of many different religions, different communities coming together, living together, and which would then become the city of Anandpur Sahib, later on named by his son. So, and the fourth thing which I feel very important is that Guruji taught us the skills of negotiations. He was heavily involved in the negotiations between two conflicting parties, a king of Assam and a representative of Aurangzeb, who were fighting for many years, and the population was suffering, and it was a big toll on the political structure as well as the financial structure of both of these parties. And Guruji stayed there for many days, successfully created a formula by which this truce took place and this war stopped. So being a religious leader, he could have just said, this is not my business, I have nothing to do with it, these two parties are fighting. But Guruji was called to represent and to really help really bring these two parties together. So he did play. And the fifth one is, this is very, very important, especially something that we can learn how we act in the corporate world, in family situation, in gurudwaras or in our communities. Whenever there is a moment of conflict or somebody who is opposing you, how do you handle that? And one instinctive reaction is that we react and we fight back, and it just adds to more conflict and it doesn't get to any resolution. So Guruji is just I mean, there are 3-4 incidents which shows how much patience he had, that he would there was an attack by Tirmal. They even shot Guruji. He was injured on his arm, and they took away the original Guru Granth Sahib bead, which was passed on to Guru by Guru and to Guru Teg Bahadur Ji. And Tirmal was claiming, who was a relative, he was claiming himself to be a guru. And then he said, because I have Guru Granth Sahib, I am the guru. So Guru Teg Bahadur Ji, even then, Makhan Shah Lubana went back, brought back Guru Granth Sahib Ji, and he beat up the people of Tirmal. And he said, Guruji, I will do anything for you. I can take care of these people and teach them a lesson right away. But Guruji said, no, we will not do eye for an eye or tit for tat.
Absolutely.
You have to take Sahib Ji, take it back to Tirmal.
Right.
So that's again
you have 2 more minutes to sum it up. I would have loved to have that wisdom which you share to be continued, but time doesn't permit. So you have 2 more minutes to conclude your.
Okay, so that's one, and then he was challenged by the authorities at the Darbar Sahib Golden Temple. He was not allowed to enter. And Guruji sat there, did the meditation, and left. And there is still a Gurdwara which shows that. This teaches all of the Sikh community a lesson that we cannot continue to fight among ourselves on a small issues or even other non-Sikh parties.
Absolutely.
We need to come up with a solution which does not just fuels the fire. And one of the other things which I feel is his Gurbani teaches us a great lesson. One of the lessons which is very, very important for today's world. 1948, the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights was declared. But Guruji, for 300 years ago, declared that the society should be built in such a manner that no one should cause fear to anyone and no one should live under any fear. So this is again a vision by a very wise sage of our times. And Guru Teg Bahadur Ji's lesson how to live a life. And then he goes on to say, Jo nar dukh mein dukh nahi mane, sukh sne ar peh nahi jaake kanchan mati mane. That just shows how to live a life.
Right.
You don't need to be living in extremes. When some happy occasion comes, we are so elated, and when something is taken away, we are depressed and we are so angry. We are complaining.
Right.
We have. Guruji tells us that we can live our life in total balance, in total equipoise, in Sahaj Avastha, and still be a very blissful life. So
very true, very true. Dr. Saab, that's what Guru's legacy is, that of humility, of love, respect, and involving everyone. There is so much to learn from his life, but time doesn't permit. But one question which I've asked to the other speakers, where do you find, Dr. Saab, that the Sikhs are lacking today, and what solution would you like to recommend?
Well, one of the things is that we need to find intra-community negotiations, conflict resolution and negotiation skills. And this is something which is very much lacking. We create so much conflict on little issues, and which really handicaps us, which really takes us away from our mission, our goal. The community needs so much attention. Our young people need attention in Punjab. Well, we are embroiled in so many unnecessarily unneeded issues, and they find no solution. So that's one thing which I will definitely say. The other aspect is really empowering women. Woman is missing in our leadership, in our affairs. There are hardly, you won't be even name 10 women worldwide who could be called our leaders. I mean, there are some educated Western world, but in Punjab, there are. So this is something in our gurdwaras, in our institutions, in our all aspect of our leadership, we need to include women. Just as Guru Teg Bahadur Ji named a city, after her mother, and he empowered Mata Gujri Ji so much. And one thing which I also forgot, which I want to mention, that Guru Teg Bahadur Ji, being a guru, he is empowering his own son to come and give his advice in the most crucial decision of his life. How many of us give credence or importance to our children? How many youth is being involved in our community affairs? This is a 9-year-old child is given a voice in making the decision of life and death. And whereas in community affairs we have no youth, no participation of children, and we don't even listen to them. So these are some of the things which I feel our community can be strengthened tremendously if we include all sectors of the community, and especially the down to Pai Jetta Ji. Look at Pai Jetta Ji's road. And where are the the lower caste people ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਮਜਬੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਿਤੇ ਰੋਲ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਕੱਢ ਕੇ ਰੱਖਿਆ
Bilkul, Dr. Sahab, these are the issues like you have mentioned. We need to start working on those, and it's not just theorizing those, but in practice we need to incorporate that into our daily lives. We would have loved to continue talking to you, but time doesn't permit. Dr. Sahab, thank you very much for your time, and we hope from this wisdom which you and other speakers have shared will be definitely beneficial to everyone. Thank you very much. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh Ji. ਸੋ ਇਹ ਸਨ ਸਾਡੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਮਹਿਮਾਨ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਂਝ ਪਾ ਕੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਕੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਜੀਵਨ 'ਚੋਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਦਾ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਲਾਈਫ ਆਫ ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਉਹ ਜੀ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਸੋ ਵੀ ਆਰ ਥੈਂਕਫੁਲ ਟੂ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਰਾਜਵੰਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਹਰਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਫਰੋਮ UK Dr. Jagjit Singh and Dimple Rayat for sharing their valuable views, and we hope that from your wisdom we are able to incorporate these things in our daily lives, and not only we are proud of the legacy of the Guru, but also we are inculcating those values in our daily lives. We are also thankful to our team members K.S. Aluwalia, Simar Singh, world's youngest Sikh researcher, Raja Taliwal of World Mastery Academy, Manjeet Lit of Litco Investments, and Manjeet Gill of Cloverdale Fuel for helping spread this information. Thank you very much for being a part of this program. See you tomorrow with other speakers, because we have 32 speakers lined over from all over the world. And as you saw yesterday, we listened to by Harinder Singh Ji, Dr. Harbans Lal, and similarly today also we have many other speakers who have spoken. So see you tomorrow at the same time. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh Ji.